Every Wednesday and Thursday night in Annapolis, in the summer, there is a war going on. This is a war that brings in soldiers from DC, Baltimore, even as far as Delaware. It takes money to enter and skill to win. This is sailboat racing. Now, I lived in Annapolis for about 14 years before I actually started racing sailboats. Until then, I just kind of played hard to get. I thought it was elitist. I thought it was snobby. But if anybody ever invited me to go racing, I would go. And the tide really changed for me when I actually started to meet some sailors. It helped that they were ridiculously good looking. And every Wednesday and Thursday night, they couldn't hang out because they had to go racing. So I would meet up with them after racing, and it was like they had lived in an alternate universe. They had red cheeks and windblown hair and great stories, and were hanging out with these wealthy people, and were having drinks brought for them, and I knew I had to see what this was all about. So I signed up for sailboat racing, and I went in search of my own race boat to race with on a Wednesday or Thursday night. Now, getting onto a race boat is similar to dating. You want to find the perfect match, and you go out on one race, and you see if that's going to work out, and then they might invite you out for another race, and the next thing you know, you just kind of show up, and they already know you're going to be there without even responding. You get invited to Christmas dinner, and maybe sailing in the Mediterranean, and you fight. It's a lot like dating. And so I was invited to race on Firebrand. Firebrand, yes. The nicest people and the worst sailors. Not only did we lose every single race, but there was like no beer on the boat. There was no fun. And I was like, this is not what I signed up for. And I knew that this would not be a long-term relationship and that we were probably gonna have to break up. But before we did that, leveraging all of the relationship skills that I had learned, I knew I was gonna have to find a new boyfriend first. So I ended up getting not one, but 2 phone calls to race on Wednesday and Thursday night in Annapolis. And this is after about 1 entire year of racing and my entire year of life in the sailing capital, as we like to say it, of the country. Some say the world, that's a whole nother story. So I ended up getting these 2 invitations. Not only did these boats have national champions on board, not only did they have national champions, but they also won races, which is a whole new world to me, but they also like to go to the parties. I was sold. Now, I know what you're thinking. She must be like a genius sailor to have made it this far to be on these boats. I'm not. I'm still not. The thing with boats is that there's a weight limit you have to meet. So it's really common to see as few burly guys as possible and then a female like me. So I was holding court, and I was literally wanted for my body for the summer of 2015. Every Wednesday and Thursday night, I was set. So racing began, and I immediately stopped feeling like a girlfriend and started feeling like a fraternity brother that was getting hazed because I was getting the shit jobs. I was getting yelled at constantly, not like in a Harvey Weinstein kind of way, but like getting coached. And I was drinking beer constantly, so it was definitely getting hazed. But there was such an experience gap between me and these guys. I was still in Firebrand pace. Alice, can you tail the halyard, please? And I would be like, well, can you explain that to me, please, real quick? Before we just tail the halyard! And I would learn trial by fire. So I reached this point in the middle of the summer. I'm like, God, there is such an experience gap between me and these guys. I mean, why do they keep inviting me back? I mean, do they really just want me there for my 127 pounds for my body? And so I ended up getting some external validation. I got a phone call from Spin Sheet magazine. Spin Sheet magazine is the sailing magazine of the Chesapeake. Every month, they do a beginner sailor of the month feature, and I had been selected to be Miss August. That meant I got my own full-page article and a full-color picture, and it came out on a Wednesday morning, which means that I got to have a dramatic unveiling at crew dinner after racing. Cut to that Wednesday, and it's like a beautiful Wednesday on the Chesapeake. Breezy, but not scary breezy. The owner came up to me and, Alice, we're down a crew member tonight. We're really gonna need you to step up. No problem. He didn't know he had a celebrity on board just yet. So we start racing, and I am doing a good job. I am keeping up with everyone, and we do this complicated buoy rounding where we had to switch out our front sails. And the owner said to me, Alice, we need you on port, the left side of the boat. And so I decide it's time for me to do an advanced maneuver and move to port in front of the mast, because that's what a really good sailor does. And so I get up, and I'm walking over carefully to the other side of the boat and proceed to trip and fall where there was an open hatch with a very sharp edge, and I smacked my ear on this open hatch and immediately went into shock. So instead of showing my article off at dinner, I was at the emergency room getting my ear literally stitched back together. Don't worry, the doctor was hot. So I woke up the next morning feeling like a hero that had gone to zero. It had been the only race we didn't complete the entire season. I also woke up to no less than 20 emails because the entire fleet had found out that I personally had fallen and smacked my ear. I also got an email from the owner. Alice, so sorry. We hope you got the flowers. You're always invited back. P.S. I really liked the article. Oh my God, I was mortified. It was still a Thursday night, and I canceled on dinner with my Thursday night racers because I broke my ear. And I remember going to dinner, and before we could get to the accident story, I asked Thomas, the owner, I said, so how did racing go tonight? And he said something to me that got me racing again, and again and again and again. And that meant more to me than an article could ever mean. And he said, we missed you. As an epilogue to this story, the name of the boat that I fell on is Crash.